All right. Um, let's see that everything is working. We have already few people on the chat, so let's see. Good, good. We are live. Welcome everybody, and welcome to another live release by Novu, where we release and showcase everything that we worked on for the past few weeks. Let's start by everyone in the chat. Please write what is your time, like what is the time at your place right now, and where you're from. um, all the panel could participate as well. So, but I think it's going to be obvious. I'm going to start. Okay, we have you, Israel. Good. Okay, we have India, we have Germany. 2 p.m. WAT. What is WAT? I'm not sure. France. Okay, Italy. Amazing, amazing. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Let's see UK. Okay, we have UK as well. Sweden. Yay. That's awesome. Um, all right. So again, great to see you all. Oh, West Africa time. Thank you. We have Brazil. All right. We have a worldwide live. That's so amazing. I'm personally really excited. Really excited. I know that Omer and Dima here excited as well as me, and it's just amazing to see so many people that just joining across the world to participate in just an amazing event that we will do and we are doing on a consistent basis, just basically celebrating um, the most recent features. So really, thank you all for coming, and I hope that you will enjoy it. Just to give you all kind of to notify all of you that you can save your questions and to write maybe them down or maybe even put them already in the chat, and we will definitely answer them in our Q&A session that will be in the end after we present the features that were released in the 0.10, as well as presenting the upcoming features for the 0.11. So let's start. Dima, you are up.
All right, thank you. Hi, everyone. Really exciting to be here again. It's been a while since the last version, and we've been working on a lot of things, and also with the help of amazing community members, kind of shaping a lot of the features that we've been trying to kind of and hearing the feedback for some of the use cases with people using Novo. So I'll give maybe a quick brief about what Novu is for some of you that may be first time hearing about us for some strange reason. But I guess if you're interested about the new features, so maybe you have some context. But for the people that less aware about Novu is, so Novu is basically a centralized notification infrastructure that helps centralizing all the communication channels across email, push, chat, SMS, and the in-app notification center under a single API and then under a single workflow engine that basically helps you to create different workflows that you could create personally and route notifications based on the user preferences, based on different filters you provide in. Digest those events into a single notification. And again, kind of in another abstraction layer above the delivery providers, you can easily switch between SendGrid and Mailgun and still get this single place of observability to see what's going on across channels and other places. So I'm just going to double check that I'm audible. I'm hearing like somebody from the audience, maybe. Yeah. Emil, can you hear me? my mic at least, just to make sure that I'm audible. Okay, I guess I am. Yeah, okay, cool. Seems like people can hear me. Awesome. Um,
Dima, are you here?
yeah, I'm here. I'm asking if you can bring my screen up on the main screen.
Yeah.
Thank you. Awesome. So as you can see, the release notes, the release has been actually a few weeks already available out there, almost 3 weeks now. We are actually coming close to the 11th release quite soon. But it's been really kind of a combined work of almost 40 people actually there, and it's really, really exciting to see so many amazing faces and contributors as parts of this release. There's been a lot of shared work, bug fixes, new languages support, provider support, and all across the board. So you can actually see the full release notes available to you at the release page at Novu Releases, and maybe Emil could also share the link on the actual chat channel here. So we'll be kind of going together over the release notes to make sure that we could actually see the new functionality and new features out there. And kind of let's start with the first one, which is the topics functionality. In a very high level, topics functionality allows you to actually deliver notifications to group of subscribers. So you could create a topic. Let's say if we're going into kind of these social elements of Facebook post, and you want to consolidate all the subscribers that commented on a particular post or liked a particular post, you could actually create a new topic with this, for example, post ID as a key. And once you're triggering the actual notification, you will be able to actually specify the topic key you would love to notify the notification to. We created another docs page that is available under the docs.novu.co. And if you will search for topics under the platform section, basically, we can see kind of the main flows of creating and managing topics behind the scenes. So the very first thing, as I mentioned before, is creating a topic. Topic creation is only available over the API. Again, because the kind of transactional nature of those things, you don't want to be creating them manually. So you would create a new topic, for example, if you take again kind of the Facebook or social examples. So when a new post is created, you would love to create a topic for it. Each topic has a unique topic identifier, and you can make those identifiers really and structure them the way you want. We suggest using this kind of namespace approach when creating them. So, for example, posts and then comments and then some unique identifier coming in. And you could actually provide another topic name, which is just a way for you logically separate and kind of make a meaningful name for each topic provided. Once a topic is created, you would actually need to add subscribers to this particular topic. So it would be to actually say, for this topic key, we would love to add subscriber ID number 1, subscriber ID number 2, and those are your subscribers ID from your internal systems. After the subscribers are actually added to the topic, instead of previously, and I think you already experienced this, you would have to loop over all the subscribers and send them the same trigger notification behind the scenes. What you can do right now is that you can only specify the topic key when actually triggering the notification during the same Novu trigger method that you're already familiar with. And Novu behind the scenes will actually fan out this message and will broadcast it to all the subscribers that are subscribed to this particular topic behind the scenes. So this is a very interesting use case, and you can see it in many different areas. For example, with GitHub issues, so you can watch for a GitHub issue and be notified when some change is happening. Somebody commented on it, somebody tagged you, and those kind of scenarios. We will be continue working on this functionality down the road and providing and integrating it better into the user preference and subscriber preferences in the future, and kind of creating a more smart approaches there. But for now, we are really collecting feedback and hearing about your use cases with the topics functionality, so we can further improve it and further provide and make a better and rich experience with it. I would love to hear your kind of thoughts on the topics functionality and how you are planning to use it or already using it. We have a few customers that already kind of shared with us some success stories with it, and the different approaches and how they use it. But we are already kind of getting feedback and preparing the learnings we can have for it for the next release as well. So this is the topics functionality, and we will go for the next item in line of the new ML editor and previews. So one of the biggest requests we've heard from you is that we actually, it was a bit hard to test HTML templates and how they will be actually displayed to the user once a notification template was changed. So we really redesigned the whole email template editor to represent kind of a better and more simplified flow of making changes to the actual HTML content, previewing it, and even delivering it to your actually email inbox right from the actual editing pane. So I have a very basic HTML template here, nothing too fancy. And what you can see, we actually have the new edit, preview, and test tabs available here. So if I will click on the preview, I could actually see the preview section of this HTML snippet shown right here in this pane. So we could actually have the sender identity. This is who we're going to send from this email, the preview of the title that we also can see here, and the actual template. So if I will be, for example, adding something here, and I will, this is new text content, and I will go to preview, I can actually see this new text content available. I could actually say, hey, let's add the first name. And if I will go to the preview, you could actually see that we added here another payload section. So you could specify the different variables here, and it works with arrays, it works with Boolean. So you could actually see how the final compile template is looking up. So I will do here Dima, and I will do apply variables, and I could actually see the HTML template rendered. So we can do it with tags like if, each, and all of the available helpers available on the handbar section. So you could actually preview it from here. You can see the mobile version of it, how it will look like on smaller devices. You can see the actual wide screen of it. And the last section here is the actual test. So it's really nice to see this kind of in this sandboxed preview on the browser, but sometimes you actually want how it will look like with Gmail parsing, running through their kind of internal caching system, because sometimes they do different manipulation to the content. So if you actually want to see the email in your actual inbox, we made it much easier to send this. By default, it will be sending it to your currently logged in account. And you can again modify the variables that will be used to actually modify this particular HTML template. And once you hit the send test email, you will actually be able to see this in your own inbox. This is really helpful, and we've been working with it quite a lot recently, and it really simplifies the kind of testing and making sure that the actual content and design matches the actual intended behavior. So another thing you could actually see here is the pre-header section. And the pre-header section is basically this little snippet that you see in the actual Gmail preview. So if you go back to the previous section, I won't be doing this, but this is the section in Gmail, for example, where you see the title of the email, and then in this like small section of the preview of the email content. Usually, Gmail just takes kind of the first text available in the email, but we provided the functionality to actually inject a particular string, so you can actually control the preview section of the displayed email to the end user. It's really helpful to make sure that you can write something there that is meaningful. Usually with transactional emails, it doesn't really work well, so you often see some weird kind of pre-header text there. So this is just a way for you to actually control this preview section here. You could also use variables, and you can use all the usual kind of snippets and HTML handlebars expressions available for you. So the last thing about the email template editor, which I think is really great, and it was actually a few months back, it was introduced by one of our community members, and we also find it kind of a new place and extended it a bit. One of the feedbacks we received is that it's very hard to understand what variables available for you when actually working with templates. So one of the things we introduced is this variable pane on the right side, and you can see some system variables available. So we can see there is a subscriber object here, and there are some properties to it. And when I go into the actual template and I will type subscriber, we could actually see the autocomplete for the available variables available for you here, so you could quickly find it. The same goes with things like digest, for example, step.digest, which is when digested, you actually being able to see the actual and make changes to the template based on if we're inside a digest and we want to show some the digest count, for example. Here is a n number of things that happen during the digest window, for example. So this is all of those is really to make sure it's really discoverable and you make less mistakes when typing those variables. And I hope it will really help people understand to make sure that you can actually understand that you have those variables available for you to use. And this is one of the feedbacks that we received. Another thing, and this is the edit variables section. This is something that was previously also available. We just made it a bit more contextual to the actual template. And this is your ability to provide default values for variables. You could provide a required fields. For example, if this field was not passed during the template execution, the actual template flow will throw an exception and this email won't be delivered. This is really helpful to avoid weird behaviors where your users will receive those famous hello null and very strange messages that people might actually encounter when you're not passing a required variable. This is another way kind of to protect you from making those strange mistakes when sending payload variables to the actual templates. So exactly, Pawan. None is another classical thing there. All right, so this is about the new template editor and the email template editor in particular. We are going to invest also in the future in other parts of it, but this was kind of really iterating about some of the feedbacks we've got and make it more accessible to work with and preview and kind of make sure that the actual content is the content you want to deliver to your users. So this is the actual new email editor. Another thing that we released kind of in a preview phase right now is the multi-framework support for the notification center. So to any one of you that maybe don't know, the actual notification center used in Novu is available as a component that you can actually embed and integrate within your own applications. And this component previously was only available as a React component, and you can actually see some of the documentation was available for it here. We provided the React component because it was a native component, and we built this component using React. And beginning of 0.10 release, we also released wrappers for Vue, Angular, a web component, and the previously available iframe embed, which is basically if you don't use any of those, you could still also use the iframe embed if needed. The preview version of those components, and you can actually see it in the documentation part of how to actually use it, how to apply it. We really think there would be a much better job of actually creating more interfaces and more flexible modifications to those components in the future. But we are extremely excited to share kind of with the world the availability of those components, because previously we've seen people kind of struggling working with the iframe embed. Specifically, we're working with Vue or Angular, for example, and now you could actually use a native Angular component, which behind the scenes is wrapping the web component that we created for it. Really looking to hear your feedbacks, and we already, in the last couple of weeks, we already been working with some of our community members to actually make it better and kind of hearing your feedback. We've been releasing a few patches since to make this integration much easier and the actual components more customizable, and so you will be able to work with them with your own applications. So this is the new notification center components. You can read more about them in the documentation section. The other really exciting part is the actors and avatars section. And as you probably can understand, when working with the notification center, there is a really clear notion of who actually performs the notification. And in the documentation, we define them as actors for the notification. So when triggering an actual notification, you can say who is the maker of this particular action. And then we can use it in a few ways. So if I will go to the in-app editor section, we can see here a new add an avatar kind of switch here. Once it turned on, we could actually specify what types of avatar we would love to use. So we have some system defined avatars and actors. In this case, for example, for common actions such as success actions or failures or informations or warnings, you could also specify the user avatar, and Novu will actually pre-fill the avatar image available on the subscriber when displaying this particular notification. And this is very useful to kind of bring more life into the notification center. So I can here send a small test here. And let's do first name, let's do Dima here. Then I'll put a trigger. So we can actually see here the different avatars available here and icons, and you can customize it, and it's also available under the API and the React hooks components. So you can use your own images, designs, icons to make this functionality a bit more personalized and more engaging, rather than just a text line without any kind of visual cues or images available here. So this is the actors functionality, and you can have a further read about it on our docs and on GitHub. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out on Discord, and would love to help you kind of better understanding how to work with it. So another interesting approach we've seen is adding additional layer of caching for some of the most common requests. For example, some of the requests for the notification center feed and other endpoints in the system, to make the response time much faster due to the not so quickly changing areas there. So the request caching is a very kind of simple service layer. It's totally optional, so you don't really have to use it. If you will provide those variables, we will actually enable caching behind the scenes, but it's a totally optional functionality. Another really interesting thing is the webhook support. So webhook support for the delivery providers, and let me go for the actual integrations page. Just a sec. And let's work with SendGrid. So for the supported providers, we have added a new webhook URL section when you click on the actual providers. And there is a section here that you could actually copy and use. When copying this provider, you could actually add it to the SendGrid or the supported provider's dashboard, which basically will tell that SendGrid can notify Novu about the different actions happening on a particular email, for example. And previously, when you're sending a message to SendGrid, SendGrid would usually tell us, hey, we queued the message, everything looks good, here is your transaction ID. But in the reality, what might happen is that this actual inbox might be bounced, it might be not existing, the mail server might be full. And even if it arrives the user inbox, what happens if the user opens the email, clicks on it, and we really couldn't know about any of those things. Once you will integrate the actual webhooks, and you can also, as usual, kind of the more detailed information is available under the platform webhooks on our docs. But once integrated, you could actually go to the activity feed and you will get all of the information available and all of the webhook responses under the activity feed. So information like the email was open, read, bounced, you will be able to actually see this in a unified way inside the activity feed. This is really just the first step of it. After we've been running with this a bit, one of the most frequent requests was, okay, once we have this information, can we actually apply this knowledge when triggering workflows as well? For example, I want to wait a day and then send particular push notification only if the user hasn't seen the email. So we don't have it yet available, but with this information, we could actually help. And it was kind of a needed step before we could make those kind of interactions available. So with the webhook support, kind of the next of the things is a lot of improvement in the filter section once we have this information available in a centralized way. And one of the great things about it, it doesn't matter if you're changing from SendGrid to Mailgun or you're working with both of them, you could actually see this information aggregatively under a single kind of roof and in a centralized place of all those webhooks coming in from the different channels to the system. So this is about the webhook support. We had other, I will briefly touch some of the other patch releases we had since. And one of them is the 0.101, which introduced webhook filters. And webhook filters is really about being able to actually filter steps based on not only on the data that you provided when you triggered the notification, but you could actually trigger it. And if I'll go to the add filter section, create a rule, you could actually see that we have the webhook section available for you. And in the webhook section, you can specify your own custom webhook. So once we will be triggering this workflow, and for example, we had a digest or a 2 days delay, before executing this particular node, we will make a request to the webhook specified. And if the webhook specified will return us particular rule, for example, should we send this notification or not, we will actually make the assertion based on that, and then we can skip or send this particular node when working. You could also take another read this under the step filter page on our docs, and we have some information on how you could actually implement that and how it will actually work. And this is a way kind of, again, implementing and incorporating Novu into specifically existing systems where you might already have some specific custom rules available on your own backend and you want to connect it to them. So this was a brief introduction about the recent changes. There were a ton of other bug fixes and fixes available in this version. You can all read them under the releases page. There's quite a long list of all the other improvements done in these versions. But I hope it kind of helped you to understand some of the new things we released. And would love to hear your feedbacks over Discord and kind of your input about what you're planning to do with it. If you do use one of them, if you're missing something, as usual, kind of looking to hear your voice and making sure we better improve it and kind of learn from those findings for the next cycles. I will also ask Omer right now to briefly come on stage and share with you some of the things we are working on the 0.11 version. which will be released actually quite soon already in the next couple of weeks. It will be available on GitHub, on Docker, and on our managed cloud as well. So let's welcome Omer. Hey, Omer. I think your audio is not available, or at least for
Um,
me.
how
Yeah, now
about
works.
now?
Perfect.
Okay. Hello world, as they say, huh? So thank you, Dima. Super interesting, and thank you everybody who's joining from seems like 4 different continents. So appreciate you stopping your day, whether that's morning or evening, and joining us. Um, as you know, we are planning ahead our product roadmap. Just about to share an extended version of everything we're planning that is going to be available on GitHub. At the moment, it's very brief, um, but we are fully open in regards to what we are planning to do, and really appreciate your feedback and contribution. I will touch briefly on the themes we're working on right now for the next couple of months, and then we'll deep dive into the next version. But just so you're all aware, we're looking into creating a seamless and amazing onboarding experience for anyone who wants to join. And we're looking into taking our product from where it is right now with the full suite of features across all channels, and really sort of like weave in together different features that we already have, and sort of like polish um, some of the corners that might be a little rough. So that's where you guys come in with feedback, and we fully and really appreciate all that you've done so far, whether that's on GitHub or on Discord, and really take super seriously everything that you guys write at any point. Moving on to the next release, we are continuing and will continue in 2023 with our monthly cadence of having a version more or less every month. In the next one, as our team is growing, we'll have a bunch of new features. So just to name a few, the bigger ones, we're going to have something we are excited to call a Novu providers, where for new users or indie developers, anyone who's at the very beginning of trying out Novu, will have a seamless integration where you don't even need to set up a provider to send an email. We'll start with emails, and later on, we might expand this even more. So you get credit from us to send emails for free to whoever you want. You don't need to put in the SendGrid or whatever provider key. That's going to really shorten the onboarding process and make things smooth sailing. Moving on to what we call the Ease Online filter. So, as Dima touched briefly, now that we have our notification center, across different languages, we are also super keen to leverage what we're here for, which is create smart, useful notifications for the end users. So, given that you have the notification center in your app used, we're able to filter the notifications coming afterwards in the workflow based on the online offline status of the end user. So this kind of annoying thing when you're online at some platform using the platform, the app, and you have the notification center, but you still get something in your phone, then that's not the kind of communication that experience that users want in 2023, and we're here to help you guys do exactly that. Um, Moving on, we still have more coming very soon. So email reply callbacks. This is the off-the-shelf solution to give you basically the capability to send emails to your end users and have them just reply, and you will get their reply to your basically whatever you set as your inbox as the hi at app name, or support and reply name, or whatever that might be, the sender of that initial email. So end users will be able to reply to your emails, which is great and exciting because it really helps you foster better engagement and also get more data points on what your users want from your product. The two last ones, and yeah, there's even more. One is just email layout management. This is something that's been asked more than once, so you'll be able to create layouts and assign them to specific email templates to set a default layout, etc. And the very last one, before I pass it back to Emil, is the project that we call notification directory. You will hear much more about that. But basically, we are starting to build a notification directory. So taking the best practices of how notifications should be for a specific industry, for a specific use case, and putting out those best practices so you have a place to start from. You will see, for example, a dev to article, and then just by a click, you will be able to get the same template on Novu. So that's a very quick rundown of everything we have in the next version and much more. But with limited time, we're almost at a time on my part. So I'll leave you guys with that. And yeah, feel free to ask here. I see many questions we can tackle and join our Discord, etc. So thank you. And back to you, Emil.
All right. So, thank you so much, Omer and Dima. You guys been amazing. Of course, they will be right back to the Q&A session that we promised to all of you. I just want to go over a few things and make sure that everyone really aligned with what you can do with Novo, or in terms of how to get the support that you need, or maybe where you could ask questions, or maybe suggest features or anything like this. So let's start by our main channels of communication. So we have, of course, our Twitter account where we posting the overall events, the overall maybe features that we release. But to gain the more in-depth details about every new feature, every new thing, every new change, the best place to look for it is in our GitHub. This is really important because that way you could be really in the let's call it kind of in the building zone of everything, because we are really active there. You can see every commit that is happening, and the change logs are really good and maintained by Dima, and I really believe that we can make it even better. But we need you guys to help us out, to maybe point us towards what we need to improve. Of course, there is our documentation, which is the truth source, where we, of course, try to improve consistently. And again, it's something that you can help us by suggesting what is missing, what could be enhanced there, and just anything that comes to your mind. Um, so, for those of you who don't know and maybe not a part of our Discord server, you have the link in the description of this live event to join to our Discord. Our Discord is the best place to get the support that you may require. We have there the support channel, we have a general chat. Of course, if you need specific questions, if you have a specific use case, we are more than happy to do one-on-one with you and to provide any support that is needed, maybe even schedule calls, and just to help you to succeed with Novo, because that is our primary goal. So that is the main place where we're really active, where you can ask questions, where you can even tap into previous questions that already been asked. And of course, once you join there, I am personally the one who onboarding you to Discord, so we probably will be in touch. If you would like to suggest maybe new features, maybe you would like us to support and build an SDK for maybe your language, and something that have a specific requirements for your use case, please go to our GitHub page and go to the issues and just open an issue. There is a really straightforward template of what needs to be written there, and you could follow this template, and you could just reach out to any of us if you need any help. And all we always want to do is to provide the best experience. This includes also the onboarding experience that Omer explained and mentioned before. And I'm personally really think that the Novu providers thing is a really game changer, because once you in the Novu platform and you don't even need to uh, connect your providers and connect your tokens beforehand, and you could just trigger the events and test it right away, is it's great. It's great, and I believe that it's a great enhancement and could improve the experience and really to show what you could do with Novu. But to really tap into the potential, I believe that um, you could communicate this and discuss it over maybe even GitHub discussions or the Discord server. For those of you who don't know, and I managed to communicate with few of our community members, there is an actually this small icon in the web platform when you kind of go to the Novu dashboard. In the right down section, there is kind of an icon for intercom. That is also a place, if you're not really into the Discord thing and you don't really want to get your hands dirty, maybe over GitHub or something, you could also chat with us through intercom. We also active there and providing support. Um, and I really believe that it could be just a great experience to get to know you a bit better, to understand your use case. And we could do this only if you will communicate with us. Of course, we do reach out. We try to get people as involved as possible, but that's why we have these events, and we have also office hours every 2 weeks at the same time. So just stay tuned. We have our meetup group where you could follow all the events. So right now, without further ado, let's jump right back to the Q&A section, because I know that there are a few questions that are being asked in the chat, and I believe that we all could help figure this out, and because we had a few moments for it. So let's do it. Hello again, Dima and Omer. How you guys doing?
Not too bad.
Doing good, doing good.
All right. So the first thing that I personally saw in the chat is that there are some folks who don't really familiar with the digest function. So I would like maybe to do a quick overview again, Dima, by you, if you could do this. Maybe even share your screen to just go over it quickly.
Yeah, sure. Briefly, what the digest does is taking a lot of incoming events. You can like make the request to the Novu trigger endpoint 10 times because maybe activity going on. Let me. Am I still audible? Because Restream always hangs for me.
You're audible. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And do you see my screen as well?
Yeah, I see.
Yeah. So let's go back to the kind of social example. For example, you've posted an Instagram post and it's great, and you're getting a notification and it says somebody liked your photo, and you're so excited about it. You read the notification and go with your day, and then suddenly your post goes viral and you have like a 10,000 likes on your post. The thing that you don't want to happen is to get 10,000 notifications in 1 hour, because otherwise what you will probably do, you will just turn off the entire notification settings for this app, and you don't want to hear from them ever again. So what it just allows you to do, and what you would usually do is you would actually insert the digest before your other notifications. It might be in-app, it might be email. And essentially what the digest will do is that you can trigger the trigger event multiple times, let's say 10 times, and the digest will collect those events. It won't pass it down downstream. And once it collected and waited for the amount of time you can actually configure, it will send a single event down the line and actually trigger a single notification event. And we've seen customers of triggering really sometimes in ratios of really high ratios, for example, 100, 200 events that converted to a single notification. And it's very helpful for high generating event systems, such as alert systems, analytic systems, and etc., where kind of the system generates a lot of information and the user will need to get a daily digest or a weekly digest for those information. So once configured, we have two digest strategies. One of the digest strategies is regular, which is meaning that each time an events come in, it won't be delivered, but instead it will create a digest window. And you can specify here, for example, for 10 minutes. So if previously no digest was active when the event was received, a new digest window will be created. It will wait for 10 minutes, and then it will send a single message down below. And then actually on the other type of it, the backoff one, you could specify a backoff time interval. So the first event that will comes in will be delivered to the user. And if in the time, for example, 1 second later, another event comes in, basically what Novu will do is it will not deliver the second event coming in, and only then it will create the digest window. So you can deliver the first event, for example, again, somebody liked you, but if a second later somebody else liked you, we will actually create a digest window and then deliver to you, hey, 25 other people liked your message, for example, or photo later. So the digest is really about improving end user experience to make sure that we are not spamming our users that much. And this is really a big thing, specifically with high generating amount of event systems. I hope this was helpful.
Yeah, I believe you went through it very thoroughly. So if you have still any further question, or it doesn't really entirely clicked and you would like to understand the engine behind this, and how it, I don't know, if you don't really understand the use case, or at least how it could be implemented in your use, just come to our Discord, or ping us over GitHub, and we will gladly talk to you personally and help you sort this out. Um, let's see if we have any other questions. I have a question here from James. Is it feasible to allow users to submit raw templates straight from apps?
So just to make sure that I hope I understand the question correctly. So you are saying that you are managing notification templates from in a different area and you want to import them or query them directly. So the first one is, and what we've seen people doing is that, let me take here, share my screen again. Okay. So the first section there, actually just paste the actual custom code in the template available here. On the next release, we will also create the layout management. So you could actually specify in a single place the whole email layout and only to change the inner content template. This is kind of on just importing it from legacy systems. Looking a bit further, we could actually see that we heard some interest, for example, for people managing content in a CMS such as Strapi, or in some cases we even have people already managing content in WordPress or other CMS platforms out there, is actually connecting integrators to those systems so we can fetch the actual templates in runtime, either from your own custom store or from a configured integration store. We didn't have like a proper thought on how and even when we will be doing it, but this is something we heard from a few use cases. We might be thinking about creating also integrations to provide custom let's say, template stores rather than the ones that are hosted on the actual Novu platform. But for now, your only kind of way is either using the API or manually just creating those templates using the custom code functionality. I hope this helps. And James, I would really love to hear your use case and kind of more detail about what you mean over Discord. So feel free to reach out to me either on the general channel on Discord or sending me a DM, whatever works for you best. I would love to hear more about your use case out there.
We have another question from Sebastian. Can topics be implicit so they are created when someone subscribes?
It's a good question. So for now, we are required to create a topic beforehand. I actually think that we can kind of take a look at this functionality of doing them implicit, the same as we do with subscribers when triggering. I think it's a good idea. We'll chat about this with the team, and I think it's something we can take a look at. For now, you would have to create the actual topic beforehand.
Okay, we created a short poll. With the time remaining, we don't have much. You guys asked us to explain the activity feed. So, in the few minutes that we have left, Dima, could you maybe go over the activity feed?
Yeah, sure. What do you mean by going over? Like to showcase it a bit, or
Yeah, to
is there any
showcase it a bit. What is accessible there? And yeah. Wait,
Yeah,
before you continue, can we send custom properties to the subscriber that we can use to filter later on?
So right now, you cannot set custom properties on the subscriber entity. The only properties we allow is the predefined ones, such as first name, last name, avatar image, and things like this. What you can do, this is something we plan to implement quite soon, but what you can do right now is that you can pass some information to the actual trigger payload and then filter the events based on that. So let's say you want to send a or I don't know, like some property available to it. Once you go into the actual template, you could specify, for example, here under the filter section, what you could actually do is you can specify the payload, and then you can filter based on it. As of now, the data available you can set on a subscriber is actually available as a predefined list of properties. But it's actually a request we've heard a couple of times. So I think we could actually go and trying to figure out something about it. I'm not sure if there is an active issue on GitHub regarding that, but Yusuf, you could actually help and create GitHub issues so we can track it there and we can continue the conversation over there. All right. So the activity feed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the activity feed is really about kind of understanding what's going on behind the scenes for a particular trigger event happening. Here I have an example from a previously triggered notification that I've done today. I can actually click on the individual steps here, and I could actually see what's happened and in what kind of time window it actually happened. For example, we can see that this in step was created, it was queued, we started sending the message, created the message, and the message was actually sent. I can see here the actual trigger information that caused this particular event and what payload it had. There is the actual responses from the provider. So a lot of the times when you're kind of not sure and you want to debug something further down the line, you can actually see here, this is the ID that was returned by the provider when we send the actual notification. And right now, specifically with filters, I don't have like a pre-configured demo here, but in the next release, we're also going to show you, for example, if a filter was applied, if there is a delay currently active, so kind of really understanding what's going on with your notification feed. This is specifically handy when you're creating a new experience. I would just recommend going in, and if it wasn't delivered for some specific reason, you can just go to the activity feed and kind of trying to understand what's going on. Usually, there is might be a provider error that we actually show you there, or something else going on. So it's a very good kind of place to debug and understand what's going on with a particular workflow.
All right. So I want to thank Dima and Omer again for attending and sharing with all of us the features that were released and that will be released in the upcoming releases. So really, thank you both for coming. Um, and I would like also to thank everyone who participated in this live event and came and were active in the chat. Really, thank you all. This event will be recorded and will be uploaded to our channel on YouTube. And for the activity feed and connect the provider or creating a template for the email, it's something that we will take as ideas for creating actual dedicated videos, and we will upload them to our YouTube channel because we want to be really considerable about your time and with the time of the panelists. So thank you all for coming. We really appreciate you. Make sure to join to our Discord if it's your thing, or just stay tuned through our GitHub repo, and see you next time. Bye bye. Thank you all so much.